Hello everybody and welcome to another review of Drones Visual. Today I bring you the first review of Eachine's newest mini quad. If you recall, I previously reviewed the Eachine H8S mini, which was an alright mini quad but rather slow when it came to the flying part. Well, now we have over here the Eachine H8S Mini 3D, and I can tell you that I'm already getting a bit confused with all the names of Eachine's mini quads. I was a bit excited about reviewing this little fellow, as I was told that it was much more fun to fly than the H8C, so we will see later how it performs. Another interesting feature of the Eachine H8S Mini 3D, I got to practice these names, just as the name suggests, is the fact that it can do 3D flying, or perhaps I should rather say it can fly inverted. In case you're wondering about the package, I only have these, but of course the version that will be sold comes with a really nice box, so you don't have to worry about that. What I will do first is to cover what comes inside the box, then I cover the design and the features of the H8S Mini 3D, and then finally, in the final part of the review, we will go outside and do some flying to see how it performs. So okay, let's do the unboxing. The first thing we'll find here is this plastic bag that comes with a set of props, a screwdriver, a USB charger and 4 little dampening sponges that I will show you now in a moment with more details. These dampening sponges can be placed at the bottom of each motor to make the landing smoother, and they're a very nice addition actually. Then here we have next the tiny little LiPo, 160 milliamps. And then we have the connector here that many of you are familiar with, because you probably see it in many tiny little quads like this one. Then we have the classical USB charger. This is good news if you like to charge your batteries on the go using a power bank or any USB charger. And this is the little transmitter that comes with the H8S, well covered with tiny buttons, as you can see. And last but not least, the Eachine H8S Mini 3D Quadcopter, and now this is the blue version, but you can get it in more colors. Here you can compare the metallic blue version with the green radioactive one. I like more the blue, but the green is more visible when flying, unless you're flying in the jungle of course, so have that in mind, keep that in mind. This is, I'm gonna get a little bit closer to the camera so you can see them. Now it's time to talk about the transmitter. This transmitter that I'm holding, it's Mode 2, so we have the throttle and the rotor on the left side, so you can control basically the acceleration and the yaw using the left stick. Then the stick on the right will be your elevator and aileron, so you can control the pitch and the roll of the quadcopter. And now let's take a look at the little orange buttons on the front and what they're for. I actually made a diagram, and you can see the diagram here, hopefully not too confusing, showing the functions of all the buttons. And as you can see, most of the functions are located on the left side, such as headless mode, return home and the speed modes. There are also another 2 buttons on the top part of the transmitter that I will show you in a moment. And due to the size of the buttons, you'll be prone to make mistakes such as pressing the return home instead of the speed mode or something like that, but I guess you'll get used to the transmitter the more you use it. So now let's take a look at those other 2 buttons that I was mentioning to you before. If we look here, the first button on the left side, this button will allow you to do the so-called 3D flips that many of you like to perform. Then in the center part here is just for decoration. I think it has no other purpose, so it looks like an infrared thing, but I think it just has no other purpose. And then the last button here is to do the so-called inverted flying that I guess many of you are excited about. To access the battery compartment, there's a cover on the rear of the transmitter that you can easily access. I advise you to use a pointy object to access it, and as you can see, the transmitter can use 3 AA batteries, which are not included, so just have some batteries ready. And then we have the little Eachine H8S Mini 3D, featuring a very familiar design that most mini quads from Eachine use, with the logo here right on top. I mean, we have seen other quads with this kind of design before. Here on the rear we can see the compartment that houses a tiny 160 milliamp battery, and as you can see, the battery is inserted now and the connector is popping out. Then something that is a must-have in this kind of mini quads are the prop guards, which in this case are made of a very flexible plastic and secured by tiny little screws to the body of the quad, so they can be easily replaced in case of damage. although they will be hard to break, I think. Let me show you how flexible these guards or protectors or whatever you want to call them are. As you can see, they're pretty flexible, and this will make them resistant to high-speed impacts. The next thing that I want to show you are the screws that keep the plastic body of the mini quadcopter together. You can here you can see the screws on this side, so I guess this will make it easy to open the quad in case you need to repair it. And then we have here some protection for the motors that are also equipped with some openings for ventilation, I guess, to cool down the motors, because I guess they can get a little bit hot, not much though. Something that I need to tell you about the battery is that because its shape and position, and the position of the connector in the mini quad, it can be a little bit hard to pull out initially. If you try to get it out just by pulling the wires, you might break them. So what I advise you to do is to use some kind of a pointy tool, like the provided screwdriver or something like that, and then make some pressure from the rear, push it a little bit upwards and forward, and the housing will expand a little bit, allowing the battery to come out. I will now use the provided screwdriver so you can see better how to do it. I'll slowly and firmly make some pressure forward and upwards, and you can see that the battery starts to slide out. In fact, I like to keep the battery in that position, not so like a little bit sort of outside, so I don't need to use a screwdriver to take it out. If you do that, you will be able to change it much faster than I did now. Just keep a little bit of the battery outside. Something I noticed about the H8S Mini 3D are the center of the probes that inserts into the shafts. They're made of a very thick and apparently strong plastic there in the center. These probes, they definitely look stronger, and I assume they'll be able to resist impacts at high speeds. And in case you haven't noticed, we have these tiny LEDs here under each arm. The front arms are equipped with red LEDs and the rear arms are equipped with blue LEDs. I'm now getting ready to go do some flying, and I have placed the little dampening sponges under each motors, and this is how the quad looks like with them. Let me place them here next to the green one so you can see the difference with and without the sponges. Once we power the quadcopter, the lights will start to flash, and the next thing we need to do is just to turn on the transmitter, and in a matter of seconds they will bind. After the binding is completed, you just need to hit the throttle and you will be ready to fly. So now it's time to go out there and explore how this little fellow flies. So let's go out and see. It is a very foggy and humid day today, and I'm here on the roof of my building ready to do some flying. I'm using now the first speed mode, and right away I can feel that this is going to be a really fun quadcopter to fly, especially if I compare it to the Eachine H8S Mini. You can just feel how fast this little thing goes and how responsive it is. It is definitely in a different level. It has this sort of semi-aggressive flying style that I'm sure you will like. I hope you can see it well, although it's certainly a little quad and there is some fog in the air, but just follow the tiny blue dot. This is what what I look for in little quads. I personally don't care much about cameras or functions such as headless mode or anything like that. I'm more about the flying experience, and I'm certainly liking the way this one feels. Even now, the yaw rate is really decent, allowing for some sharp turns. The transmitter is also comfortable to hold, no problems with that. And also I can tell you that the Eachine H8S Mini 3D is getting a bit wet now. Let's see how it handles humidity, although I guess it should be really no problem. And the next thing I will try is the so-called inverted flying. I'm really curious about how does the controls work and how it flies while inverted. So let's go ahead and try the inverted flying mode. So just by pressing one button you will hear some beeping sound, and then you're ready basically to invert the quad or fly inverted. I was initially not sure how the controls would be affected, but I was surprised actually after checking that they just remain the same. Basically forward is forward, backward is backward, and so on. This might be good news to some of you, but perhaps there are people out there that would rather prefer the controls to be inverted as well. Personally I don't mind, and I guess most of you won't mind either. I think it's pretty good to have it like that. If you at any point wish to exit the inverted mode, just press the button again and then you will exit this sort of inverted flying mode. Also, it was my impression that if you stop the quadcopter while flying inverted, then it will reset and it will go back to the normal flying mode. Well, now it's time to do some 3D flips or 360-degree flips, or whatever you might want to call them. To do these flips, we will then use the right button in the transmitter. For those of you that like this kind of aerobatics, if I may call them so, you'll be very happy, as you can go nuts doing them with this quadcopter. It can actually do them very fast, so you don't need to be flying very high to do them. I guess a bit more than a meter will do. Then again, after pressing the button, you'll hear a beeping sound that alerts you that the quad is ready to perform a flip. Just in case you forget that you pressed the button, I guess. Well, it's good to have the beeping sound. I guess it's a good indicator that everything is in place to do a 360-degree flip. Then the next thing I would like to show you is the difference between flying speeds. If you remember in the diagram I showed you of the transmitter, there are two little orange buttons located on the left lower section right after the throttle. They control the flying modes or flying speed, and it seems to me that there are just two flying modes. Hopefully I'm not wrong, but there is a really big difference in these modes when it comes to yaw rate. I show you here initially the yaw rate in the default mode, which is already pretty fast. But as you can see, when I switch to the second flying mode by pressing the lower little orange button, the yaw rate increases considerably. It can be actually hard to get initially used to this much faster yaw rate right after the default one. I guess many people will be caught by surprise. The second mode will certainly allow you to do some, really allows for some sharp and fast turns, and of course it will make the flying experience super fun. I was certainly caught by surprise. The change is not as dramatic though in terms of pitch, angle and roll and so on, but still the yaw rate is much faster. And something I struggled a little bit was with the return home function. Here's my best attempt. I entered headless mode, then hit the return home function or button, and then it just flew somewhere like backwards to the side, but this is, like I said, this was my best attempt. I actually never use this function, but still, for those of you that do use it, I really wish you good luck with it, because I had a few times there were a few times in which I pressed the return home button and it just flew somewhere else. So I really wish you good luck with this. Well, this concludes my review, and I'm really happy with the Eachine H8S Mini 3D. I think it flies incredibly well in the default mode, and if you want some more juice and excitement, go for the faster flying mode and you won't be disappointed. I like that the props seem to be reinforced, especially the parts that insert into the shaft, and also it includes some prop guards or protectors, plus the dampening sponges that you can put on the landing gear or the motors. On the motors, they're super smooth and a nice addition to it. For those of you that would like to see the quadcopter flying inverted without the risks of not knowing how to control it, you have a great chance with the Eachine H8S Mini 3D, as when flying inverted the controls don't change at all. And then of course you get the amazing 3D flips as well that many of you like. For those of you that use headless mode and return home functions, well, yeah, they are available, but I had some hard time using the return home one. Maybe that function is just too advanced for me, but just keep in mind that sometimes it just flies somewhere else. I totally recommend this little quad, and so far is my favorite from the Eachine line. If you're interested in the topic of drones and would like to get the latest news and reviews directly from China, do not hesitate and subscribe to my channel. And if you have some time, please leave me some feedback, some comments that I really appreciate, and please do like my video. Hope to see you in my next video.